congratulations on being a part of the Syracuse Orange family. I know you've probably heard that a lot over the last couple of weeks and months as you have made your decisions and decided that Syracuse is your next step on your journey, and we're glad that you are part of this. So my name is Chris Velardi. I am class of 1995. I'm not just an alum, but I am also the Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Engagement. So yes, I went to a new student send-off way back in 1991, back when send-offs were black and white and there were no virtual send-offs. It was just in person, and it was very different. Syracuse is very different, but there's a lot that's still the same as well. And the idea of this new student send-off is to welcome you to the Orange family, to help you feel a little more comfortable when you get to campus late next month. When we're in person, obviously, you get a chance to meet one another. So we want this to be as interactive as possible, and that can be tricky. Obviously, Zoom is what it is, but look, we've all spent a lot of time on Zoom over the last 3 or so years. So we've gotten used to it. Please use the chat. Feel free to comment to one another, to comment to our panelists, to comment to us, ask questions. We want to get to know you. We want you to get to know each other as well. The other point of this new student send-off is to give you the idea, and it's a very, very true idea, that once you become a Syracuse University student, you become part of the Orange family, and you are what we like to call forever Orange. This is not a 4 or 5 year education. This is a lifetime. It's a lifetime of friendships, a lifetime of experiences, a lifetime of opportunities. And it literally begins now. It begins when you step on campus. Those people that you meet in those first few hours, you may be their friends 30 years from now. Believe me, I speak from experience. And the people you meet along the way, there's no doubt that they will be your friends. They'll be the people who are at all of the big events in your life. You're at their big events. It's a pretty special thing. And we hope you start to get that feeling a little bit tonight, even though we are gathered virtually and not in person. So I'm done with my part of the talking, or at least the big part of the talking. You're going to get some answers to questions. You're going to get some great Syracuse stories from our student panelists who are joining us tonight. And the first person that I want to welcome is Megan Edenfeld, and she's the president of the Forever Orange Student Alumni Council. We'll explain what that is. And she's also a Maxwell in Arts and Science student. Megan.
Hello, everyone. Like Chris said, my name's Megan. I'm going to be a junior this year at Syracuse. A little bit about me. I'm originally from Portland, Oregon. So if I have any West Coasters, that's awesome. We need more in Syracuse. And I'm majoring in international relations and economics with a minor in psychology. So that's a little bit about me. And then I'm going to introduce Jada, who is another member of the Forever Orange Student Alumni Council, as well as an Our Time Has Come scholar.
Hi, everyone. Like Megan said, my name is Jada Marie Knight. I'm a rising junior. Can everyone hear me well? Okay, all right, just making sure. I study television, radio, and film, and I'm really happy to be here with you guys to answer all these questions. I'm gonna introduce Julia now, who is a fellow rising junior with me. Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia. I am a junior and I am in the Whitman School of Management studying finance and marketing. We are so excited to get to meet you guys and we can't wait for your arrival.
All right, thank you, everyone. We'll be hearing a lot from them throughout the evening. But first, and I know this is going to be tricky, and please, we encourage you to participate because, as I said, we want this to be as interactive as possible. We want to have a little fun, and if we were all together in the same room in person, we would be doing an icebreaker. So we're going to do a virtual icebreaker, and Anna Jenkins joins us. Anna is a recent graduate. She was a big part of the Forever Orange Student Alumni Council as a student. She was in our office a lot, so we all got to interact with her and got to know her really well. And Anna is out there in the real world now, part of the Orange alumni family. She's going to lead us in this icebreaker game. Anna.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the virtual student send-off. I'm going to do a fun little game with you guys just to make it more interactive. So basically, the game is a little puzzle, and I'm going to show you some iconic Syracuse places, things, people, and you're going to have to guess what each of them are. So put your guesses in the chat. You'll have like 10 to 30 seconds to guess what each picture is. And it'll start off easy and then it'll get harder. So let's go. So first one's kind of easy, but put your guesses in the chat. We should have some music. I should put on some music. Sorry, guys. Okay, what do you guys think this orange thing is?
This is an orange with a name, right? A proper name. I see some proper responses.
Okay, good. Keys ball. Okay. Orange ice cream. Okay, so this one's, believe it or not, it's auto. So good guessing. All right, next one.
Otto, by the way, a Hall of Famer now. He's in the mascot
Yeah.
Otto is in the mascot Hall of Fame. Just going to be inducted next month.
Very impressive. This one's a little bit harder, but if you've been around campus and been to maybe a sports game, you might know. Okay. Getting there. Good guesses, good guesses. All right, you guys are right. It's a dome seat. Next one is, this might be more tricky. But if you've been to campus, it's probably the best place to hang out and eat food. And it just got remodeled, so it's so nice. And you always want to get a booth there. The edge of the cafeteria's balcony.
I was going to say, Anna, I'm on campus every day, and I had a hard time figuring out what this was. So,
Okay, yeah, it's Shine Student Center.
there you go.
Place to like watch TV if you want to hang out here. They always have like sports on, or like we watched the Super Bowl there. FIFA World Cup, super fun. This one is also a little bit harder if you haven't been to campus, but I'll give a hint in maybe a couple seconds.
I like Anya's answer. That'd be my answer too. It's a window. It's a wall.
Yeah.
Yes, I like this. Good literal.
I love that you can react. Text. It's something you ride. Horse. Okay.
There it is.
Good job, Megan. Good job, Ella, Trolley, Jennifer. Good job, guys. The next one is a place, if you couldn't tell. Nice.
Right on it.
Yes. Correct. Krause College, also known as like Setner or VPA. All those students have all their classes here. The next one is possibly where you will be spending a lot of your time. And window. Stall hall. House.
Callan was on it, I think. There you go, Luca.
Nice, nice. So this is Bird Library, probably the busier one compared to Carnegie Library. But Bird's great. You'll probably hang out there a lot more than you might study. All right, next is pretty difficult if you like, because it could be two things, I think, but it
That is a tricky one.
Yeah. It's pretty zoomed in here.
It's not. It's not Newhouse. I
Yeah,
don't think.
So this building, I'll give a couple more time for guesses.
Ah,
Ernie's a good guess. Love Ernie. I lived in Ernie. So this building is, someone got it right. Jada, it's the Veterans Building, the NVRC, National Veterans Resource Center. Also a really new building on campus, and I heard it's a really great place to study because not a lot of people go there. They just put a Starbucks in there, which is little known secret, but now everyone knows.
ding, ding, ding. I didn't know that. Thanks, Anna.
But yeah, so really great place, and not a lot of people go there, so it's kind of quiet if you want to study there.
This place called again?
The National Veterans Resource Center, and it's right on Waverly. So it's right across from Newhouse, actually.
Yeah.
This one is an iconic Syracuse place that you'll probably go many, many times.
That
After-
last building wasn't there when I was a student. This was long
Yeah.
before I was a student.
Yeah. It definitely
Yeah, there you go.
is. Nice. Good guesses, guys. This is Varsity Pizza. Been around for a really long time. Everyone goes here after games, maybe before games, but pizza is really good, and their breakfast is really good. Believe it or not, so good. You have to go. It's so cheap. And they have good lunch too, but I've never had lunch there, but I know their breakfast is really good. And this is the last one. It's also a relatively new building. It opened when I was a freshman on campus. Great place to relax and hang out with friends. Any guesses besides Jada?
This is a tricky one.
Yeah, it is really tricky. Let's see if I can give more hints. It's kind of right by the dome. This is, if you can't tell, it's a rock climbing wall. Nice, Ronald.
And so much more, Ronald. That and
Yeah,
so much
literally.
more.
So yeah, this is the Barnes Center, and it's probably my second home. I literally love going to Barnes. It has everything. It has esports, it has a fitness center, it has the health and wellness center, and the what's the room? Meditation or something. Or the
Pet
massage-
therapy. There's
massage
the pet therapy
that.
room.
Yeah. So it's a really fun place to go. And I wish it was open like 24/7 because I would be there. So thanks guys for playing, and I'll pass it back to Chris.
All right, Anna, thanks very much. Those are all places that once you've spent a week or two on campus, then you'll be like, all right, I know exactly where that is. I know what that is. But now it's probably a little tricky because maybe you've toured campus once, or maybe you've been here once or twice. All right, we've obviously already talked a little about food because we showed you Shine Student Center and mentioned that it's a great place to get some food. We've showed you Varsity Pizza, which is a great place for breakfast. I haven't gone for breakfast, so Anna, I will have to take you up on that and hit it for breakfast. Let's start with the question of food, because there are those options. There are obviously dining halls across campus as well, and there's always been a battle as to what dining hall is best. I lived in the Mount for 2 years. I thought Graham was the greatest. So let's start with question one. And the question one is, where is the best go-to place to get some food? And Megan, I'll start with you.
So, not to like repeat that I'm from the West Coast, but because of that, I really, really don't like Dunkin'. I'm just not a fan. I don't like it at all, but I
The
love
New Englanders
coffee.
are shuddering.
I know, I'm sorry. So for me, I love Salt City Coffee. It's right outside of Marshall Street, across from Whitman. They have really good like bagel sandwiches, good coffee. It is obviously a little bit pricier than Dunkin', but it's worth it because I can't do it. So that's definitely my favorite.
That's your go-to. All right, Jada, what about you?
Well, for me, I'm gonna go with dining hall first. I'm a Sadler and Graham type of girl. Ernie to me is overrated. That could be a hot take. But when it
We're
comes
here
to
for
buying
it.
food, the Popeyes on Marshall Street and I are like best friends. We're locked in.
There is that. There are some options. Popeyes, Chipotle on Marshall Street as well. Julia, what's your go-to spot?
Chris, I'm gonna have to agree with you in regard to dining hall. Graham, I lived in Flint. Graham was the best for me. Oh, okay. Don't look at me like that, Jada. But in regard to food, my hidden secret is Page Library. It's in Bird, the Page Cafe, and the iced coffee is to die for.
Good spots. You're all going to find your favorite little spot. I will say one place that has always been my favorite, and it makes me it's like one of my happy places on campus, is People's Place. People's Place in the basement of Hendricks Chapel. It's cheap. It's got good coffee. It's got snacks and pastries and a bagel, and it's just a great vibe. So People's Place, I don't think it's changed in 50 years since in the time it started to now. So it's one of my favorite places. All right. One of the things that I mentioned at the very beginning was that you're part of the Orange family now, and the Orange family is forever. And that means that you are not just engaging or having opportunities to engage with your fellow students, but you also have an opportunity to engage with alumni. You get to very directly have opportunities, whether it's in a class where someone comes back to speak, or maybe later through an internship that you're able to work on, even perhaps going to a sporting event where you run into an alum. So I want to ask you guys what kind of stories you have to share about your engagement with the Orange family. And Jada, I'll start with you this time.
Yeah, one thing that you'll learn when you get to campus is that the Orange family is huge. It's like a big universe, as I like to call it. My experience with alumni has been great. It's because of alumni that I was able to go to France last year to the Cannes Film Festival. And yeah, I'm grateful for that. I would not have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for an alumni reaching out to Newhouse, saying that they wanted to support a Black woman to go to the film festival. So yeah, me and alumni, they're good. They're good to connect with, and they're always eager to connect with us too.
And Jada, having had that experience as you eventually move from student to become an alumna, does that make you feel like at some point you want to be able to provide that type of opportunity for a student as well, give back like that?
Yeah, of course. Like in the Our Time Has Come Scholar, like Megan mentioned earlier, and I want to give through that with Boosts Accused after I graduate and I'm an alumni. So I look forward to being able to give other students the opportunity I was able to do.
Awesome. Julia, what about you? What kind of Orange family stories can you share?
Before I really knew what I wanted my career path to be, I felt really lost. So I went on a trip that Whitman offered to New York City, where we got to visit alumni at different companies, and they were so helpful in what I wanted. Also, when you make a LinkedIn, this is the biggest hack I can give you. Look up any job that you have any interest in, look up any company you have interest in. You will find, 3 people that attended Syracuse University now work here. Cold DM them, say, hey, I'm a student at Syracuse, you have my dream job. They will respond instantly. And I've had so many wonderful phone calls and internship opportunities just from that alone.
That's a really important point, and I think it can be really intimidating, right? To reach out, particularly you said cold call or cold DM. What has been the response that you get when you've had an opportunity to do that overwhelmingly, more often than not?
Hi, Julia. I've missed Syracuse so much. I'd be more than happy to take a call with you. If they and I get your questions in line, everything is perfect. Like everything works out in the end. The alumni are so more than happy to help.
Yeah, there is something special, and many of us as students had an alum reach out and help us. So there is that sense that, oh man, somebody did that for me. I want to do that for a current student. And look, the other little hack secret is that alumni love talking about their time at Syracuse University. They love sharing their own experiences. So when they get a chance to talk to a student, particularly a student who's interested in kind of following the same path, it's a win-win, and really you get a great response. What about you, Megan? What kind of interactions have you had a chance to have with alumni?
Yeah, so last semester I was doing an internship in DC that I had kind of pursued on my own. And it was the coolest thing because one of the guys on my team was like, "Hey, I actually know a Syracuse alum that works for the FBI, and that's like my dream job." So I reached out to him and he was so willing to meet with me. We literally spent like 3 hours on his Saturday, so like his rare weekend time. And he just told me all about his job. And I think like that was really the first time that I realized just how like willing the Orange family is, because obviously when you're on campus, sometimes you might wonder like maybe it's just because I'm at Syracuse, but this guy like had no idea who I am and was willing to spend so much time to talk to me and gave me a lot of advice that I never heard of before. And that was really nice because it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence for as I start pursuing my career interest a little bit further.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear. And one of the really important things, obviously, is when you are in those situations where you have an opportunity to reach out to or speak to an alum who's doing something that you're interested in perhaps doing as well, is and you guys all kind of mentioned that you had your questions ready. You knew what you wanted to ask, and you knew what you wanted to engage and how you wanted to interact. So just kind of being prepared like that, it goes a long way. And it obviously is the kind of thing that is going to the alum is going to remember as well, and they're going to kind of file that in the back of their mind, because at some point down the road they may be looking for an intern, they may be looking to hire someone and say, "Oh, I had a conversation with a student who was really interested and really impressive." So it's really valuable to be able to do those kinds of things. Let's look back a little bit to when the three of you were in the position that those the incoming students are in now. Is there a piece of advice that you wish someone had told you then, that could have been helpful? One of those little nuggets of information that you wish you knew the first week or month that when you were on campus. Julie, I'll start with you.
Probably being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So you are all in the same boat right now as freshmen. No one knows each other. You are all in a foreign place. You're freaked out. My roommate and I, freshman year, we went and knocked on everyone's door to meet everyone, and don't discredit anyone. Everyone has something that they can teach you. Everyone is amazing and everyone is in the same boat. So as long as you're allowing yourself these new experiences and being bold and reaching out to new people, you will succeed at Syracuse.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable. And we don't just mean the weather, because you will be uncomfortable with the weather as well. There's no doubt. It's not always 88 and sunny like it was today in Syracuse. Unfortunately, we get a little bit different types of weather during the school year. Megan, what piece of advice would you tell your incoming student self right now?
I think, not to get super like deep, but I think for me, it was really just like, this is a chance to kind of have a fresh start. So if there's anything like in high school that you just weren't really proud of or whatever that might be, like, use this as an opportunity to make like real friends that will be your friends for a lifetime. And it's like, I came into Syracuse, I didn't know anyone at Syracuse. I had no family, like I was completely by myself, and that was really scary, but it was such a good opportunity for me to start fresh and feel like I had like a new beginning. And it ended up being, my adjusting phase was really easy, and it ended up being way faster than I had expected it to.
I love that. As someone who just sent a daughter to college last year, that idea that you are starting fresh, right? Like, high school can be drama no matter what. High school, that all of that can be a lot, and you're starting over. You're starting fresh. You can be the you want to be when you get somewhere new, and you can make the friends you want to make. You can make those connections. Jada, what's your advice to Jada a few years ago?
Number one, bring a fan. Bring a fan for move-in. But another piece of advice would definitely be, don't think you have to join everything as soon as you get to campus. I know when I first got on campus, I didn't really know anyone, so I thought the best way for me to meet people was to just go to every club that I wanted to be a part of. And then I ended up drowning out myself along with the schoolwork because it's heavy. So I'd say find your footing. The clubs will always be there. There's over 1,000, 2,000. I don't even know how many clubs we have now. So they will always be there. Take the time. It's a different environment. And then you're going to experience a lot of growth. So I'd say give yourself that time to move forward. And you don't have to join everything.
Yeah, you can't. It's physically impossible to join everything. You can do a lot, but it's impossible. And I want to talk a little bit more about those kinds of things in a little bit. Right now, though, we want to, as we mentioned, want to be interactive. So we have a poll that we want to put up there. And if you know, and hopefully you do at this point, where are you going to be living? Are you going to be on West Campus? That's Brewster Boland, Brockway, Lawrence and Sadler, up on the Mount, Day and Flint. Again, like I said, I spent 2 years on the Mount. I loved it up there. Got really good calves from walking up and down the stairs for 2 years. East Campus, you're going to be in one of those, or South Campus, or off campus, or commuting. Let us know if you don't mind. There you go. All right, 50% of you are going to be in the West Campus dorms. A few of you up on the Mount. All right. Anyone want to jump in with a question about anything specific there? We've got some experts here who may be able to help. We can't help you necessarily with all the move-in instructions. You'll get those. Let me tell you, the process is pretty smooth. You've got the Goon Squad helping with the heavy lifting, and a lot of volunteers across campus who are always willing to pitch in and help out. It's one of the more fun times. So, all right. We actually, you know what? Let's, as the rest of the folks on my team know, I love to have a script, but then I love to go off script. So we were talking about clubs and activities. And as Jada said, you can't do them all, which is completely true. But it never hurts to do something that you truly love. You're going to find your people there often. So Jada, what did you settle on any clubs and activities after kind of realizing you couldn't do everything?
Yeah, of course. So I am Jamaican, so I'm a part of the Caribbean Student Association on campus. I'd say that's probably like one of the best clubs that I ever decided to join, because I found community on a campus where I didn't know anyone. And it's not like I'm coming from home where I have family and friends. Like I said, I'm from Florida. I knew no one in New York. So Caribbean Student Association really like gave me a piece of myself on campus. And yeah, I'm also a New House ambassador. So if there's any New House people in here, join New House ambassador. It's really fun. We give tours, get a t-shirt. And that's a great way to get close to a lot of the people who do recruiting for New House. So they will call on you if someone important is coming and they need to give a tour. They remember your interests and they'll ask you to do that. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, Julia, what about you? Any clubs and activities that you particularly love?
Yeah, for me, clubs were kind of like an outlet to put aside from like my schoolwork and all that. So I joined University Girl, which is a magazine, and it's more creative on the creative side. And then I'm in Syracuse Investment Club, so I'm also in the finance side, seeing where that takes me. And then Greek life is really big on campus. So I am in a sorority, which takes up a lot of time, but it is super fun if you can do it. Also, they have fraternities for business fraternity, they have film fraternity, they have iSchool fraternity. So it's not just like you have to be in a typical sorority or fraternity. You can join anywhere and feel like a family.
Yeah, absolutely. And Megan?
I think favorite club that I've loved is there's a really popular like outdoor club. So they do hiking, kayaking, whitewater rafting, camping, snowshoeing, skiing, literally anything you can think of. And it's been super fun because it's a lot of like weekend trips. And I'm a big skier. So knowing how close like skiing was to Syracuse to campus was really big for me. And that's just been a fun way to meet people. And it's been funny because I've like crossed paths with a lot of people that I didn't know were in it. And so that's been really good. And then another activity I would say is I've been the peer mentor for one of the living learning communities. If you're in the international relations one, I will see you soon. But that was just a really cool way to kind of interact with more people on campus, kind of help out the first years last year. And I'll be doing it again this year. And it kind of made me feel like I was already kind of helping out the Orange family, even though I was a sophomore last year. So it was really cool.
That's great. And you know what, it's really important to understand that you can join a club that can help you in terms of what you're studying and what you want to do professionally. And you know, Julia, you kind of talked about that with some of the things that you're involved in. You can also do things that are just things that you love to do, that you're just passionate about and you have fun with. And that way you're meeting the people who, you know, maybe live in your dorm or live on your floor. You're meeting the people who are in your classes. You're also meeting people with whom you share some type of interest and some kind of passion. I was a part of WJPZ Radio, one of the radio stations on campus when I was a student. And some of my best friends were part of that radio station and continue to be to this day. So I think that's something that's really, it's just another great opportunity for you to connect with folks who you share interests with and can create these lifelong bonds with. All right, we've got another poll question that we want to pop up here to continue to see what you're looking forward to, what you're interested in. We've got some traditions. Obviously, all colleges have our traditions. So what are you most excited about? Game day in the Loud House, football, basketball, lacrosse, whatever. Getting coffee from the aforementioned People's Place, studying at Bird Library, snow. Maybe you're from somewhere who doesn't get snow, and so snow is exciting. The Krause chimes, we saw Krause in our quiz earlier, or getting your photo with Otto. Anything there that you're super excited about? Let us know.
Regarding the snow, does that include like the skiing trips that was mentioned earlier?
Well, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Regarding the snow, does that include like the skiing trips that were mentioned earlier?
Sure, yeah, we'll call that. You can include that with snow as your vote. Why not? All right, we got some excitement for snow. I love it. And game day in the Loud House. That should be exciting. It's going to be a very different basketball season this year. We have a new head coach, part of the Orange family, of course, and some great recruits and some great returners, and should be fun. And you know what? There may be a tradition that we don't have here that you haven't even been aware of. You're not even sure of yet, and don't even know that it's going to be the most exciting thing. So I think that's an important thing to think about as well. All right, we've talked about student organizations, opportunities. I think one of the things that has been really, that gets overlooked sometimes in these kind of conversations, but is obviously crucially important, is what you're here to study and what you're getting out of that. And that's part of the reason why we have three panelists from three different of our schools. So Jada, I'm Newhouse biased. I'm a Newhouse alum. I'm a recovering TV news guy. I spent a lot of time in that world, and I adjunct at Newhouse. So I'm going to start with you because of my Newhouse bias. But what class and or professor at this point has had the biggest impact on you, would you say?
Ooh, this one is a difficult question because I feel like I've taken so many good classes.
I love to hear that.
Electives. I'm gonna say Professor Evan Smith for screenwriting, Introduction to Screenwriting. That's a requirement for television, radio, and film majors. And that's not a class that I was excited to take. I was like, man, I have to take this class. Like, I don't even want to write scripts. Like, this is not gonna be for me. But I really enjoyed it. It was really fun learning how to write a script from the beginning process to the end stage, and creating your final script for the class and writing a short film. It was really fun. So I think it's making me kind of consider kind of consider a career in screenwriting. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, screenwriting definitely has made a big impact for me.
That
You
sounds,
said Professor
sounds
Evanston?
overwhelming. Professor Evans, right? Is that
Evans, okay.
Evan Smith.
Evan Smith?
Evan
Yep,
Smith.
Evan Smith. Megan, what about you? What class or professor has had a good impact on you so far?
So I'm kind of relate to Jada, where I was my freshman year, I got put in a political theory class that I was not excited about at all. I was actually like angry that I got put in it. It's with Professor Glenn Morgan. He teaches a lot of the like philosophy classes, and it ended up being still to this day the best class I've ever taken in my life. He just made any topic entertaining. He made everything make sense, and he was very like he made you want to do really good work, and he taught you like I think one of the biggest things, especially in the majors where you do a lot more of the writing, your the value of like your argument. And he just I don't know, he was just an amazing professor. He was so cool. He would just like wander around the lecture hall and give the microphone to people randomly, and he just made it interesting and fun, and I loved that class.
I think it's the other really important lesson. You both kind of alluded to this, is don't judge the class on day one or on the syllabus. Make sure you've got a couple of classes under your belt before you make a decision on what it's like. Julia, what about you?
Also read your syllabus, because those that are like, they'll be like, oh, you have a quiz this week, and you won't realize you've read the syllabus. But in regard to my favorite class, SOM is a requirement that all Whitman students have to take. And it really prepares you for all the classes you will take at Syracuse. It brings in teamwork, working with people you don't know, putting on a big presentation at the end of the semester. And it's really scary, but it's really fun. Also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but utilize Rate My Professor. It has the best information. You guys, I don't think, get to choose your classes or your professors for the first semester, but as you go on, it's like a Bible on like who to take and what classes to, because it's all about your professors. Befriend your professors as well. Sorry, that was a lot, but befriend your professors, because it's worth it.
As an adjunct, it's a scary thing to know that that's out there, that's a tool. But so far, knock on wood, I think I'm in good shape. But yeah, but you're absolutely right, because the professor makes all the difference in the world. It really does. And there are some fantastic professors here. I failed to ask you guys, you three, about your favorite traditions and experiences at Syracuse. So Megan, I don't remember if you remember the choices, but what's your favorite?
I think for me, there's two. It's not the snow in general, but like the first big snow is really fun, because I think like a lot of people, they get really excited and everyone's like outside sledding and some people ski. It's just really fun and exciting, and it's cool to see like everyone acts like they're little kids again. It's just a super cool experience. And then in terms of the games, for me, both of my parents went to University of Virginia, so we have a little rivalry in the family. So the past 2 years, my family has come down for the UVA game, and it's just been super fun, and I love that game. We haven't done great the past couple times, but hopefully this year. So yeah, those are definitely my favorite.
That's awesome. What about you, Jada?
I don't think mine was on the list, but I have two. One of them was Citrus in the City. So I'm an RA. So if anyone is in Lawrenson this year, you'll see me. I'm on floor 12, I think. But yeah, I have to take my residents to this thing called Citrus in the City. And I also went my freshman year. And basically it's like a whole bunch of local Syracuse food trucks, and you get to try their food with tickets, and then you get to see performances from orgs on campus. So that was really fun. Wasn't expecting that. Met some people there too. And then my second thing would probably be, I did like the first snowfall, because my first time seeing snow was in Syracuse. But I will say, I wish it could snow without it being cold. I think that's the big issue for me.
Yeah, they haven't figured that out meteorologically yet at this point. So you get them both at the same time. You get the snow and the cold. Julia, what about you?
Yeah, I love the first snow, but then I don't like anything that follows it. I would say I'm a huge game I love game days, but we also have Juice Jam and Mayfest, which we bring some pretty cool people to Syracuse for music. So if you're into concerts, they're so fun. And yeah, we have a lot of free food there too. So it's really good.
A lot of this all does come back to food, right? Food trucks and all of that. Yeah, it tracks. It makes good sense. We've talked about student organizations and activities and things like that you can be a part of, but there are also a lot of resources available. We touched on it a little bit when we talked about the Barnes Center, but I want to get a feel for the types of resources that you like to utilize, or maybe you wish you had learned about a little bit sooner. Maybe you can give the incoming students a bit of a tip to check out earlier than they might have stumbled upon it themselves. So Megan, is there a resource that you have been able to take advantage of?
Yes, if you are in a writing heavy major, the writing center will be your best friend. I especially because like when you go into college, you don't really know what they want from you. So it's really nice to give them your essays ahead of time. They really will take the time and kind of give you some guidance before you turn it in. And I think it was helpful for those individual assignments, but then also just overall, I think my writing's really improved because a lot of them would just say the same thing that I was consistently doing. One resource that I think I am so happy that I used soon, I eventually started using, was DegreeWorks. That'll all get figured out once you get all of your student stuff. But basically DegreeWorks can see your progress through your degree, as well as there's a section where if you're thinking of adding a major or a minor or something, you can put it in and kind of see what classes that would mean you would take. And it gives you a lot of guidance in terms of how you're going to get things done. And so that was really important for me because I added economics last semester. So I'm trying to get it done in 3 semesters, and it helped me be like, oh, I need to take a couple summer classes because if not, I'm not going to be able to do it at all. So DegreeWorks is really important, especially if you're wanting to add to your original major, or if you're undecided, then that's a good way to look for programs as well.
I see
Nathan.
DegreeWorks
is the name of the. You said DegreeWorks is the name of the site?
Yeah, DegreeWorks. You'll have access to it once you have your MySlice and all of your other student online accounts.
Sounds good.
And Megan, I want to ask you on writing, making that transition from writing for your high school teachers to writing for college professors. Did you find that to be kind of a change? And was that something that the Writing Center was able to kind of help guide you through a little bit?
Yeah, I think a couple of the biggest things is I remember in high school them constantly telling me, never say I, never put I, never do that ever. Or always trying to make your sentences long and complicated with all these big words. A lot of college professors don't want that. They have a lot to do and they have a lot to read and they just want your point. And I remember my first introduction paragraphs of my first few essays, the Writing Center was like, just rewrite it. It's just not good. So it hurt a little bit, but it definitely made my grades feel a little bit better. So yeah, it was a big shift, but it was really helpful.
As somebody who has taught some news writing courses at Newhouse, I have definitely given that kind of feedback. Shorter sentences. I don't need all those adjectives. Please just get to the point. Jada, what about you? Resources? Are there resources that you have found very helpful here?
Yeah, the CDC. It is not the Center for Disease Control. It is the Career Development Center. I didn't realize how horrible my resume was coming into college. So I am so grateful for those people at the Newhouse Career Development Center, and the school also has a career development center, but if I'm not mistaken, every college has their own too. But yeah, the Career Development Center helped me with my essay, helped me with cover letters. They will do mock interviews with you for internships and stuff like that. So yeah, check them out.
Good advice. What about you, Julia?
That was my answer too. I love the Career Center so much. I remember I was so nervous about who I wanted to become and what I wanted my job to be. So I called nervously. They have call-in hours for Whitman. Not sure if they do at Newhouse or the other schools, but I think they do. But I called in. I was like, what do I do? I don't know what I want my life to be. I feel like I'm in singles. I don't know what. They made me feel so calm about everything. They gave me names of alumni who were more than welcome to help. And they wrote a whole list of things that I would be like jobs that they think I would be good in. They help you take a career test. It's actually the best resource on campus.
And there's a link, Grace put a link in the chat as well, so you can kind of check out ahead of time, at least the overall career center. And that's it's so true. And, you know, and I think to all of your points, one of the things that can get lost, and it may seem obvious, but it can get lost, is that the folks at Syracuse, be it a professor, be it somebody on staff, everyone is there to help students succeed. That when students succeed, everyone wins. So I think that's a really important thing. And I will say, just from again, an adjunct standpoint, but this holds true for all professors, utilize office hours. All of your professors are going to let you know what their office hours are in the syllabus that you get on day one. And many times professors will be sitting in their office for the 2 hours that they blocked off, and no one comes. No one comes to visit them. No one comes to talk to them. And getting to know your professor at that level, being able to ask those specific questions, if there's something that you kind of struggle to understand, is really helpful. Same thing with maybe if you have an IA in a larger class in your first year, taking advantage of their knowledge and their experience and their willingness to help is a really useful thing to do. And it can be intimidating to do the first time. Have any of the three of you had a good experience yet, Julia, with going to office hours?
Yeah, I was so scared to go to office hours. I was like, what do I do? But the second you go in there, your professor is so excited that you are there. Take an interest in what they are saying. It is literally the difference between an A- and an A. Because at least for Whitman, we have a negative curve. And right on that curve, they'll be deciding, was Julia engaged? Was she in my office hours? They'll be picking the person they know better for that A. So you utilize office hours as much as you can. I'm not saying you have to be best friends with your professor, but it's nice to know them. Introduce yourself in the beginning of your class. Sit front row. That is my big sit front row. No one sits in the front row and you will be recognized immediately.
Yeah, I think that's that's a really good point as well. And look, some of these classes are going to be big, right? Your first year, you're going to have some big classes. And if you do go to office hours and you're in a class of 50 or 70 people in one of these big lectures, you go to office hours and you're going to be a little more front of mind for that professor. And it does mean something to the professor to be able to make those connections, to know that, oh, all right, this thing that I lectured about, maybe this point didn't get made the way I wanted it to because it may have been confusing. And just to build those relationships, it's important. It is intimidating, no doubt, but I think it's a really useful thing to do. One of the things that I do want to encourage you to do is obviously do a little bit of homework before you come to campus. There are some links that we've put in the chat during the course of this program as well. And you can kind of do some of the research on, look at the Barnes Center, see the things that are offered there, whether if it's the fitness center, the game rooms, the esports center, which is phenomenal, the climbing wall, the pet therapy, whatever it is. Do a little bit of research and kind of make yourself a note to say, I want to make sure I check that out in the first week. Some of those resources like the Career Center, the Writing Center, that information's all available online. And just having that head start and getting a chance to look at it before you get to campus is going to be a helpful thing. Jada, you've got a friend, which is, speaking of pet therapy rooms, you've got a little pet therapy now. We're just about out of time. I want to make sure if anyone's got questions that you'd like to have answered, you want to pop it in the chat or even open up your mic. Feel free to jump on and ask if you've got something. Before we wrap up for the evening, I want to just give you guys an opportunity to kind of give a last thought as we move forward. Okay. Any good tactic to trying to memorize the layout of campus / the city? I wouldn't worry about the city yet. Get the campus first. But what are your tricks, Jada? What's your trick for kind of just getting familiar with a new place like the campus?
Yeah, so once you're on campus, you'll realize it's not really as big as it may feel the first week. the first thing for me was most of my classes were Newhouse. I was like, okay, I just need to figure out how to get from my dorm to Newhouse. And once I figured out Newhouse, literally everything is right there. You have Shine right next to Newhouse. Then you have Bird right next to Shine. And then you have Ernie right next. So everything is kind of close, but it will take some time. So I'd say just figuring out one building, utilize Google Maps, utilize it. Don't be scared to use it.
Yeah, that first week of school, everyone's walking around with their heads in their phones, just trying to figure out where to get. And also just ask somebody. I always try to walk around campus, and I know a lot of my colleagues do too, during those first weeks of classes, because you just see, lost puppy dogs trying to find their way, and we're always willing to help. Julia, what about you? Any tricks for trying to figure out where you need to be?
You might have some classes in some really weird buildings that you've never heard of, and no one else around you knows the building. There is, I believe, if you just Google Syracuse University map, it'll have like the number written next to the building, and that once you know your way around campus, that map is really easy to use. I still use that map.
Definitely good advice. Maps are available. We've all got them in our hands, so it's definitely something to use or ask. There's a question about skiing, and Megan, you mentioned that you have gone skiing. What does that look like?
So with the outdoor club, that is more of like a one-time, they'll just like go for fun. But during the winter, there's cross-country trails. There are like trips that I know they will plan, like the school will randomly plan. So I would say like the clubs themselves, it's not like they're going every week, but it's very accessible for students, and they will have like buses sometimes that'll take people skiing. And yeah, so it just kind of depends on if you're at ski club, the outdoor club, who exactly you're going to go with. But also you'll find like one of the things that I was shocked about was like there's literally cross country skiing trails like not at all far from campus. And I know sometimes as a first year, people say it's not far, but that's because they have cars, and that really doesn't. But that one is very accessible. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. But definitely look at the activities, look at the different clubs, and they'll kind of lay it out, especially more towards winter time.
Yeah, and on that idea of not far, there are campus shuttles, campus buses that will, if you have a class, if you're in VPA and you have a class at the warehouse is downtown, right? That's not on campus. It's not really walkable. It is walkable, but probably better not to walk it, and just with traffic and things. So there are buses, there are shuttles that'll take you there. And then, Megan, you mentioned ski trips. There are other types of excursions that are planned, and it's just kind of keep your eyes out for it and get a group of friends and say, hey, you interested in doing that? Let's take that bus trip. Let's try that. So those things are possible as well. All right. I thank you all for being here. I want to give you three just a kind of a last word, a chance to kind of give a parting message before these folks join us here in, at least today, sunny Syracuse. So Julia, I'll start with you.
Bring a coat.
Won't stay sunny forever.
It gets really cold. You really don't need one until after Thanksgiving break. You don't need a coat until after the borderline. You need a jacket, not October. But you don't need your heavy coat. You're gonna need a parka though. You will need a parka, unfortunately, but it's not that bad. It's only 1 month of torture, and then we're back to normal. But we're so excited to meet you. We are, all of us. And reach out to upperclassmen, not just your grade, because we're all really excited to be here and have you.
Yeah, always willing to share information. Megan, what's your kind of parting words for this group?
Going off of the coat theme, I would say definitely layers, because the one thing is if you're going from like 10 degrees outside into a warm building, it's very uncomfortable. And I like cannot focus if I'm super hot. So definitely like a shirt under your sweatshirt, under your coat, so that you can kind of like take it off and be comfortable wherever you are. And yeah, besides that, we are so excited. And to my fellow West Coasters, guys, stick together, meet some people all over, but there's few of us, so stick together.
Good advice. Jada?
I know that it can be stressful. You're getting ready to go off to college. You're trying to figure out your school email, your My Slice, your schedule. You're trying to pack. I know that can be stressful, but give yourself the time. It's okay to feel it. I was very stressed. Just make sure you're talking to your family. Make sure you're talking to your friends. Make sure that they're knowing how you're doing because they can't guess. So yeah, I'd say just keep the people close to you in the loop and see you in the fall.
It is an exciting time. Julia, Megan, Jada, Anna, thank you all so much for helping guide us through this and answer these questions. And look, again, if you have questions, there are always people who are willing to answer them, to try to help you out. If there's nothing else, I guess my final word is it can be intimidating, but don't be afraid to ask, whether it's a professor, an alum, a fellow student, ask them the questions that you want to know the answers to, because they're willing to help. They were there too at one point, and many of us professors and staff were also there, literally on campus as freshmen at one point, just trying to figure it all out. So thank you all for being here. We look forward to welcoming you to campus in person in late August, and welcome to the Forever Orange family. And as always, go Orange.